Europe is on a diplomatic drive to try to bring about a truce in the Israel-Iran conflict. The German, French and UK foreign ministers are in Geneva for talks with Iran about the current conflict. Abbas Araghchi, Iran's foreign minister, is due to meet them later on Friday. Delegations have been arriving at a hotel in Geneva for the talks. Milena Veselinovic is there for us. We've just been seeing some of the pictures of the members of the delegation heading into the hotel just behind you. Abbas Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, has already made it very clear that Iran is not going to change its position as far as its nuclear discussions are concerned. One must be wondering what the Europeans are hoping to achieve with this.
Well, the Europeans are hoping that they can step in and prevent this war from escalating further. And the reason why they believe they may be able to do some diplomacy here is that these three nations, the UK, France and Germany, were really key in negotiating the original Iran nuclear deal back in 2015, the Obama-era deal, a deal that US President Donald Trump pulled out of in 2018 during his first term. Now, these nations, European nations, believe that because of their deep involvement with the first deal, they are or can be seen as trusted intermediaries with Iran, because Iran, frankly, does not trust the US at this point when it comes to these negotiations. But what's quite important to note is that these European nations are very, very closely aligned to the US. In fact, the UK Foreign Minister, David Lammy, spent Thursday meeting with his US counterpart, Marco Rubio, in Washington, and also met Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's Middle East envoy. And he will be bringing the messages he heard there to the talks in Geneva today on Friday. Now, enrichment really remains the main stumbling block here. The US has said they don't want Iran to enrich any uranium whatsoever on their soil. Iran has already said that they cannot accept that. Now, furthermore, Western nations also want curbs on the Iranian ballistic missile program. Now, that is something that was not part of the original 2015 deal, and Iran is also saying it should not be on the table now either. But the fact that everyone is here today in Geneva, even though we haven't quite yet seen the Iranian minister, does give some hope, some optimism.
Milena, thank you very much indeed. We have pictures of Abbas Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, speaking at the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Let's listen in.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before this august body to remind you of the legal and ethical responsibility each and every state member and observer of the Human Rights Council has to stand up against this grave injustice. Israel has launched an unprovoked aggression on Iran in a stark violation of Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the Charter, and in bold defiance of all the principles and rules that this Council stands for. This is an unjust war imposed on my people since early hours of Friday, 13 June, when Israel perpetrated a mix of unlawful and criminal operations against off-duty military personnel, university professors, and ordinary people. Hundreds of my fellow Iranians have been killed and injured following Israel's surprise armed attacks and terrorist operations on residential areas, public infrastructures, hospitals, health centers, and of course, the Foreign Ministry. Our peaceful nuclear facilities have also been targeted, despite their being under full monitoring of IAEA, and despite the fact that attacking such facilities are absolutely banned under international law. Israel attacks on nuclear facilities are grave war crimes, given also the danger of environmental and health catastrophe as the result of radiological leakage. Mr. President, Iran, a founding member of the United Nations system, rightfully expects each and every one of you to stand for justice, rule of law, and basic tenets of humanity and ethics. Iran is under a merciless act of aggression. This is crystal clear fact, must not be allowed to be twisted upside down by Israel and its backers. Israel's aggression on Iran cannot and must not be justified by any legal or moral standards. Any justification for this unjust and criminal war would be tantamount to complicity. Iran is defending itself against the barbaric aggression. We are entitled, tasked, and determined to defend our territorial integrity, national sovereignty, and security with all force. This is our inherent right, as also clearly recognized under Article 51 of Charter. Dear colleagues, the peace and rule of law are at serious stake as a result of Israel's unlawful invasion of Iran. Israel is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. International humanitarian law, already badly undermined as a consequence of Israel's relentless atrocities in occupied Palestine and elsewhere, is now under another extremely serious danger as Israel is committing grave violations of 1949 Geneva Conventions. Mr. President, Switzerland is the custodian of Geneva Conventions and protocols on IHL and has an important responsibility in this regard. Indeed, every state party to 1949 Convention shall shoulder their responsibility under these conventions, in particular, Common Articles 1 and 3 of these conventions. Dear colleagues, we were attacked in the midst of an ongoing diplomatic process. We were supposed to meet with Americans on 15 June to craft a very promising agreement for peaceful resolution of the issues fabricated over our peaceful nuclear program. It was a betrayal of diplomacy and an unprecedented blow to the foundation of international law and UN system. Let me be clear. If there is any use of costly systems and mechanisms we have created for the past 80 decades to preserve human rights and dignity, now is the time to do it. We need action now. Otherwise, the whole UN-based international law system would corrode badly. This is a historic moment for human civilization when a civilized nation has come under an unjust war of aggression. The world, every state, every UN mechanism and body has to be alarmed and has to act now to stop the aggressor, to end impunity and to hold the criminals accountable for their unending atrocities and crimes in our region. This is a call from someone who has allocated his whole life to dialogue and diplomacy, but who also is a veteran of an imposed war by Saddam regime and knows how to defend his beloved motherland. Thank you so much.